The blaring of sirens shattered the silence of the night, ripping millions of people from their sleep. At first, it was only a few heavy raindrops, but within moments, the sky tore open with thunderous roars as rain poured down like a waterfall. Then, without warning, raging floodwaters surged in, swallowing the entire city within hours. The people screamed and ran in despair. Familiar streets turned into swirling rivers, swallowing cars and houses. Many could only grab their children and rush outside as the roof behind them collapsed. Children wailed, the elderly collapsed, and everything was engulfed in an unimaginable scene of chaos. In the darkness, cries for help echoed, mingled with the screech of corrugated iron and the crumbling of walls. The lucky ones who managed to climb onto rooftops still trembled as they watched the murky black water sweep away everything they once had. In an instant, a bustling city had turned into a vast ocean, a suffocatingly haunting image. At daybreak, people stepped out of their shelters, only to be stunned into silence by the sight before them. The entire streets were blanketed in thick, sticky mud. Cars lay overturned, piled on top of each other like toys. Houses lay in ruins, with rooftops swept away and walls shattered. Whole villages had vanished without a trace, leaving behind nothing but a vast expanse of mud. Thousands of families returned only to find their homes reduced to piles of rubble. Many dug through the mud in search of keepsakes, a photograph, a toy, but most found nothing but fragments. A little child clutched a soaked teddy bear, the only memory left after the Great Flood. Reporters captured images that broke the nation's heart. Fathers bowing their heads in tears, mothers holding their children with no home to return to. Bridges lay destroyed, railways swept away, and transportation paralyzed. Satellite images revealed vast fields submerged under murky water, crops, livestock, and a lifetime of livelihoods gone in an instant. In the cramped shelters, hundreds of families crowded together on thin mats. Children slept curled up, while the elderly gasped for breath from exhaustion. Cries, groans, and the heavy silence of despair filled the air. Hospitals were overwhelmed. Doctors worked to the point of exhaustion, and many surgeries took place under the light of flashlights and candles. Some were injured in collapsing houses, others infected after being submerged in filthy water for too long. Doctors treated patients while fearing an outbreak of disease. Clean water became more precious than gold. With long lines of people clutching plastic containers, waiting for their turn. The farmer broke down in tears as he saw his entire rice field submerged in mud, his livestock drowned in their pens. The once bustling markets now stood empty, while prices climbed higher each day. With food and medicine in short supply, anxiety spread everywhere. In the midst of hardship, every bowl of warm rice, every bottle of water handed out by volunteers became a fragile glimmer of hope. Amid the devastation, tens of thousands of people still threw themselves into danger to save others. Helicopters filled the skies, dropping food into isolated areas. Small boats braved the rushing waters to carry residents away from their half-submerged homes. Rescue dogs sniffed through the rubble, finding survivors still trapped. Firefighters carried children on their shoulders, wading through the raging waters. Ordinary people became heroes, neighbors saving neighbors, friends pulling each other back from the brink. On television, stories brought the entire nation to tears. A father shielding his child with his own body, a group of volunteers cooking through the night for hundreds of strangers, a doctor performing emergency surgery by the light of a cell phone. In the midst of the mournful darkness, compassion shone brightly. As the floodwaters slowly receded, the work of rebuilding began. Bulldozers and excavators labored day and night to clear the mud. Trucks loaded with cement, wood, and steel rolled into the flooded areas. Engineers inspected bridges and roads, restoring the transportation routes that had been destroyed. The government promised financial aid, while relief convoys poured in from across the country and abroad. Clothes, medicine, and food were distributed daily. Psychologists helped children cope with trauma, and volunteers organized games to bring smiles back to their young faces. But the road ahead remains long. Many families have lost everything, and many people have decided to leave the land they had cherished all their lives. Experts warn that recovery could take years, even decades. Yet amid the ruins, hope never faded. Survivors vowed to rebuild their homeland. Stories of courage and solidarity spread across the nation. And though this flood has left scars that can never be erased, it has also proven one thing: the strength and resilience of the human spirit can never be defeated. If this land has just struggled in a raging sea of floods, then in Sichuan, disaster strikes from above, fractured mountainsides, where relentless rains turn into massive torrents of mud and rock, sweeping everything away.
아니 못 가까이 아래 알아 야봐요 그래 뭐 인간 죽었더라 마다 다 죽었네 인간 죽어 다 죽어 다 수고 다 죽어
Oh shit!
Scorching heat, but then The skies over Sichuan suddenly turned pitch black. From August 4th to 7th, 2025, torrential rains poured down on southwest China. The first drops fell on mountain slopes already riddled with cracks, and within just a few days, that fragile land began to melt away. The relentless downpour seeped deep into the earth, turning already fragile slopes into giant beasts trembling on the verge of collapse. Then suddenly, a deafening roar. Massive torrents of mud and rock came crashing down, severing roads, destroying infrastructure, and forcing thousands to abandon their homes. Luding, Lakba, Yan Prefecture, and Cam 2, names that have become the epicenters on the disaster map. In some areas, weekly rainfall exceeded 200 millimeters, enough to push already unstable mountain slopes past their final breaking point. The province's geological monitoring systems had once warned high risk, but warnings are just words until they come true. Morning of July 27, Luding County. After days of relentless rain, part of a mountainside near National Highway G318, the vital artery linking Sichuan to Tibet, suddenly gave way. At 7:30 a.m., 15,000 cubic meters of earth, rock, and trees came crashing down, bearing 70 meters of road. Traffic ground to a halt. Nearby villages were completely cut off. Lucky, thanks to early warnings, an evacuation order was issued just hours before the disaster struck. Traffic, geological, and firefighting forces immediately set out, establishing a command post on higher ground. Drones scanned the sky, radar swept over every boulder, and excavators plunged into the battle against nature. By evening, a single-lane detour was opened, with protective nets and rock anchors driven into the mountainside like needles, stitching up a massive wound. But nature wasn't finished yet. Less than 24 hours later, Libo County, located in the Liangshan-Yi Autonomous Prefecture, shook once again. On the afternoon of July 28th, after 5 consecutive days of rain, a hillside above Wuyi town gave way. The landslide, spanning 300 meters, sent more than 20,000 cubic meters of earth and rock cascading down like a raging flood. Some boulders as large as small cars, crushing the farmland below. Luckily, no houses were destroyed, but the entire valley below had to be evacuated. Experts later discovered that the cracks had appeared weeks earlier. The rain was just the final straw. It crossed Sichuan from the Yiban-Ebian corridor to remote villages. Small landslides continue to occur, blocking village roads, toppling power poles, and burying crops. Many roads remain paralyzed for hours as rescue teams work through the night to clear the way. But unlike in the past, today's Sichuan has eyes that never close. Real-time rainfall gauges, slope vibration sensors, drones mapping hazard zones. Thanks to these, dangerous areas are detected early, evacuation orders are issued in time, and losses are minimized. Sichuan's disaster management capabilities have taken a major leap forward, showing its determination to live with and stand against the fierce power of nature. Thank you for watching Wild Bane, where we uncover the truth behind nature's most extreme moments. If you found this video helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our calm, clear, and fact-based updates. Note, some images used are for illustrative purposes only. See you in the next video. Stay informed, stay safe.